Well, we get to the jobs, when we're doing the gutter jobs, we set up all the ladders, we set up all the equipment. As soon as we get the ladders, the equipment, everything set up, we knock the gutters off the house. Sometimes just in the areas that we're working on as we go, but a lot of times we like to knock all the gutter down, crush it up, and then tie it up like every 10-foot sections, throw it in the back of the truck, because you can recycle this. It's a $100 worth of metal, $50 worth of metal. Yeah, they look naked. True, yeah, exactly. And then once you put the gutters on, it'll actually look somewhat like you just put new fascia. It'll look like you put brand new fascia on, because the gutter will cover the whole fascia board on the gutter sides. Well, a lot of things. I'm a carpenter by trade. I own my. We could walk over to my equipment. One of my trucks.
That a lot of gutter companies have. What do you think is the most common way that people do their gutters?
Well, honestly, I see a lot of people right now buying those box trucks and putting them in the box trucks. And that to me just seemed a little bit more difficult, because with the trailer, I can fit everything inside the trailer, take everything out, load it up a lot easier. And then I still don't have to worry about the maintenance of a box truck, the brakes, the insurance on it, and all that stuff. So, I mean, with the box truck versus the trailers. Right here, I mean, this could be more organized. We've only been at it for a few years. I've seen a few people, what they do is they take 4x4 post, and then up here, they do another 4x4 post. So then you make a contraction all the way down, a contortion, and then you could put a pulley, and then you could, right here, have your gutter coil dropped off your house, and then you just, with the pulley system, and then you can slide down your metal and then load it into your machine. Right now, I drive to the gutter facilities, just like everyone. We all drive to the gutter facilities, and they have like 30-foot long pole. Just imagine, right? And the pole's got my gutter coil on the end of it. Maybe it's 20 feet, and the guy drives in with that long pole, and he comes in through this side, and that thing weighs like 500 pounds, and we'll have it chained up from the pole, and then we have to swing it on to there. So we have the ability with our machine. I bought one of the nicest ones you can buy. It's an Ironman, and then it was 13 grand. So I don't know how much they are now, maybe 16. So everything's gone up in 2 years. I like this. So what I did in the front was this one's called a cradle. So the cradle is a lot easier to load the coil onto. You just kind of like, I don't know, it's just a lot easier. I mean, it comes down with the swing. This thing backs up, and I can kind of swing this in here. Where this, I have to take it apart out in the road, sandwich it together, and then we kind of, well, same thing. We kind of lift it, and then it lands right here in the middle. But what's neat about me, and yes, what's different with me and other people is that we have 6-inch gutters, where most people are still doing 5s. They have not bought a 6-inch machine. They're almost 20 grand.
What's the difference between 6 and 5? It doesn't
really
30, sound like
30.
Much of a difference.
It doesn't. That's what's weird, is that you're only going from 6 to 5, but it's an inch wider and an inch deeper. So the bottom of the pan of a 6-inch gutter, this is a 3 3/8 hole. So when you only have a 5-inch gutter, the bottom of the pan is very small. You only end up drilling an inch and 5/8 hole. So I go from an inch and a 5/8 hole to a 3 3/8. So do the math on that. It's 2 inches bigger. It's 2 inches. It's double. So it's double the size for the water to flush down, and it can handle twice as much water. You can get the back of a 6-inch gutter is longer, so you can start up higher on the fascia board and then slowly drop down more.
You almost put your hand through that.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Really.
Yeah, I can actually. I can fit my hand in there.
You probably won't get many hard objects coming through from that end, but
thank you.
I feel like it'd be very tough for leaves to get caught in. I mean, your whole hand almost fits through it.
Well, great observation, and that's why I'm a little aggressive on my slopes too, is because you're absolutely right. Because with the sloping of the gutter being sloped properly and having this big hole, so if you go just at least a 1/4 inch or so or more every 10 feet, just a little bit more than a 1/4, you're going to get more speed to that water, so that it's not just barely move. You want the water to move once it lands in the gutter, so that way when twigs and debris will help flush itself out. So
this may sound like a silly question, but
then the gauge.
Does having that extra inch on the gutters make it look more bulky and ugly compared to the 5, or what's
House.
your opinion?
I'm glad you said that. Actually, 5 actually looks too small. A lot of people say I have 4-inch gutters, and 5-inch gutters on houses are big, you know, and gutters are way up in the air. So 5-inch gutters look small, and 6-inch gutters really fit the bill for what the house, how it should look on the home. Another I forgot to mention too is the metal. You have uh, 32 gauge and 27 gauge, and I always pick the thickest of the metal. So you don't want the 30. The closer you get to one, uh, would be a whole number, right? So 27.027 is thinner than uh, 0.032 or 0.32. So 0.32 is gonna, the closer you get to one, the thicker you're gonna get. So I know it's different for doors when you go by gauges. Like 24 gauge is thinner than 20 gauge. 20 gauge would be considered thicker for a door, but for metal, the bigger the number, the better, because you're starting at a decimal going up.
So
So a lot of people get mixed up by that, and they're like, "Oh, we use the thicker stuff, the 27 gauge." Well, it works that way. Like they might be mixed up with doors, and with gutters, it's different because you start with the decimal and you go upward.
So the people that are getting started in your field and trying to get to where you at, but they're just starting out, when is it a good time to invest in one of these?
So that's a great question because like you asked me what's different between us and other people is that we're carpenters. So we're not just slapping gutters on a house. We're looking to see is the porch even level? Because sometimes porches in old houses they're not level or they've sank. So when we approach the job site, we see it way different than a person who's just done gutters most of his life. We see things that carpenters see, and we can fix carpentry issues like rotten 2x4s, rotten fascia boards. But yeah, I wanted to show you this. This is the machine, how you can hold 3 different stock colors. And then the front of the nose of the trailer, that's kind of like where all my cookies and my bread and my butter are. My signs are up on the top. We have a generator down there. Uh, there was more hand tools back there, cones.
What's the generator pump?
Like this morning, I wasn't sure if I wanted to run my power 200 feet. You know, I was 150 feet away. I could have just pulled my generator out. It's not bad to run it. It's not bad to get rid of the old gas. So I was going to run it. And then, well, we'll show you more stuff later on another day because there's so much to the gutters and there's so much more that we can still do. But right now we're using these boxes. So Edgar and I, Edgar's kicking the boxes out in equal distances all the way down. What we're doing now is the gutters, they'll just be able to slide right out of there. And then it literally comes out of that hole, comes from that flat roll, and it will bend to this, it's called a Special K design. And that's my favorite. You know, you only have a couple to choose from. You have the Half Moon, which not many people would ever do. It's hard to hang them on. And then you have the Special K design, and that's what we use. So, but overall, once we get them put on the home, we're doing this because the corners they were up higher than the rest. So the water was pouring off before 4 feet before the downspouts. Water right in front of me and the homeowner was pouring over the gutter, so they weren't working. And then also the old ones that we took off had the nails in the front, and I've told you before that's an indicator that they're 35 years old or more. And the nails, after all that spacing and being put on improperly, it started to pull away from the fascia board. So when the water went off the roof, it wasn't landing in the gutter; it was going behind it.
Yeah, I don't know whose idea it was to put those nails in the front like back then, but it just doesn't look good.
Even then, they could have did something way better:
Yeah.
clips, hangers, screws. So
Yeah. So do you think this is like a good trade to kind of get into? Maybe starting out doing gutters when you're getting into your field.
yeah, absolutely. I even said that on my Dave Does It channel. So if you're getting out of high school and you're trying to find some trades or some jobs or you know, things that you'd like to jump into, I think this would be a good business to work your way into, or even slowly work your way into carpentry, because you have to do small amounts of carpentry here and there, and you have to learn how to set up your ladders. There's ladder safety. There's all sorts of safety concerns with this. Like right now, this roof, that's only a 412 pitch. So we get pitches where they're 12, 12, 10, 12. there's days where we have to put on a harness, put on some rope, and there's some safety involved too with your partner. Or you try to do it all off the ladder, and or you'll get to a house that has like a lot of steep landscaping. So you want to make sure your ladders, you're always digging out, and that your ladder's not going to kick out, things like that. So I don't want to recommend someone getting hurt, but yeah, if you're going to jump into something, gutters is pretty a good trade. So if you're here in Harrisonburg, Charlottesville, Weir's Cave, Mount Sydney, the Harshberger neighborhood, my number is 540-671-9243. We also service Winchester, Front Royal. We go up and down the valley, and we're really just passionate people trying to help as many people in Virginia in this region of an hour or two that we can get to service you, because we know when we come to the job, it's going to be done perfect, and you'll be hearing from me before I'll be hearing from you asking for, hey, remember your basement door? Something like that, because honestly, I don't get callbacks. So we're excited to hear from more people, and give us a call when you're ready for sure.